Thank you, Mayor, Council. My name is Brian Rodgers with ChangeAustin.org. As you can see, I've talked about this. My city property taxes have tripled in the past 11 years. Now, that's something I can say over and over again because it's real. Overall, my property taxes are about $19,300. Okay, at what point do I say it's too expensive? Because in the last 10 years, it's tripled in my city taxes. In 10 years, my prediction is that, because in the last 10 years, it's tripled in my city taxes. In 10 years, my prediction is that the actions of this city council and all the other taxing jurisdictions will cause my taxes at my house to rise to $40,000. All right? Now they're $20,000. They're going to go to $40,000 by the year 2021 would be my prediction. Okay? So when do I throw in the towel? When my property taxes get to be $50,000? When they get to be $60,000? This isn't a theoretical exercise. This is the way that's headed. There are so many ways that, okay, let's put it this way. If my city taxes have tripled, but did I get triple the city services? Okay, did I get triple the amenities? If you guys had used my money, the city had used my money and built a Shangri-La of a wonderful city with all these amenities and things, maybe I would say, all right, that's okay. But where did the money go? All right, where did all this money go if my taxes tripled? Well, I can tell you where the money went. Let's just say we know where the money went. First of all, commercial property and land are grossly undervalued. I've been saying that quite a bit now. But what has the city done about it? What could they do? Now, the legislature had sales price disclosure in front of it the last two sessions. Was it part of the city's legislative agenda? No. All right. 2 sessions ago, the mayor of Dallas came all the way down to the legislature to lobby for sales price disclosure, showed up at the legislature and testified at a hearing about sales price disclosure. But I didn't see anybody from the city. There was no leadership. It's not part of the legislative agenda. So sales price disclosure is the single most important answer to funding and tax equity. And the city doesn't even have it on its legislative agenda. Okay, if there was leadership here, then he would go call the mayor of Dallas, get 100 leaders of the taxing jurisdictions, and then when you're at the legislature, maybe that would be something that could happen. Now, if it doesn't work on a state level, then let's investigate the possibility of the city of Austin instituting its own sales price disclosure. Okay? So any property that's sold within the city limits of Austin must be reported to the city clerk. It becomes public information, and then the tax appraisal district could pick it up. Here's another one. What about like Mueller? Wouldn't it have been nice if the Mueller contract, if they'd have negotiated that any property sold within Mueller would be required to have its sales price reported? Anytime we give away water utilities, anytime we make something a TIF, anytime we do something like Waller Creek, where we ask nothing in return from the landowners that we're bringing out of the floodplain for $100+ million, at least what we could do is say, we'll do this if you agree that part of the deal is that any sale of any condo or office building or whatever located on your tract will also be reported. It's something we could do if we're giving stuff away. Well, in a homestead exemption, why don't we have a homestead exemption? Do you guys have the political will to do a homestead exemption? The county gives a 20% homestead exemption. That's one way to get equity in without having the sales price disclosure. Okay, where's the rest of our money going? Where did it go? Well, we've got poor decision making. We've got the $2.2 billion biomass plant, the water treatment plant 4, the Town Lake Park misappropriation of funds, the Waller Creek TIF shortfall. Luckily, because of a lot of efforts of some people, that Waller Creek, some of the land is coming up in value, the domain debacle, and the Mueller TIF. How do you get 700 inner-city acres and never make a profit? Well, you do it with the Mueller TIF. Now, Mueller is specifically egregious because there was a Home Depot on St. John's and I-35 paying its full sales tax into the general fund. So they got that Home Depot and tucked it into the sales tax of Mueller, and it's no longer going in the general fund. So any taxes that come out of Mueller don't come out of Mueller. Basically, they just stay there. So the rest of us have to support it. Stop giving away public infrastructure. You've heard me talk about the low sales price of our water and wastewater taps. So we're selling them at a loss. Start charging road impact fees. Okay, that's what the city of Fort Worth does, $2,000 per new home. But instead, we just do bond issuances, and you ask us to do it. All this stuff would make our budget where you wouldn't have to come to us with a pre-programmed 8% rollback already in the budget. Okay, perform a cost of service study and a cost of growth. If growth is so great, at least we ought to know, what does it cost us? What does it cost us when a family moves here? If it's a good thing, all right, we need to know. But at least, it's the kind of thing, if you're going to take on more of something, you ought to know what the impact is going to be. All right, bloated city government and runaway police salaries. Actually, it's all salaries. I went to the Texas Tribune, and you can walk through the Texas Tribune on the salaries and go, I compared Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and Fort Worth. And here's what I came up with. And this is, okay, how many people make over $100,000? Well, in Austin, far more than Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, or Fort Worth, even though we are one-third of the population of Houston. So I went through and I said, I cleaned it. I go, well, how many of these are with Austin Energy? I took those out. How many are with a water utility? I took those out so I could compare them apples to apples. Basically, Austin has so many more 100,000 plus salaries. Let's look at it on a per 1,000 city residents. This is a telling story that we have far more than our peer cities and what I say is overpaid employees. We could do it for a lot less. So how many city homeowners does it take to support one employee that makes over 100,000? Well, it takes 118 homeowners to support one of them. It takes 43,000 to support the 363. So if the city taxes are going to double every 11 years, then we're going to be at my prognostication that my taxes are going to double. I'll be paying $40,000 when I talk to you guys in 2021. One of the problems is incremental budgeting. What that tells me is you don't really have to know what's in your budget. You just go, we're going to take what we did last year and we're going to add some to it. Okay? I don't think people know what's in the budget. I mean, I think there's hardly any ways to do effectiveness studies. I mean, if you were to look at the police budget and say, okay, well, you're spending X amount of money, how many convictions are you going to get? What does it cost to get a conviction in property crime? Does it cost $10,000 per conviction? Well, maybe it'd be better just to get the $10,000 and hand it to the criminal and say, well, let's just cut out the middleman. All right? So all we're asking is welcome to Austin, but pay your own way. Austin charges the true cost, the full cost, and nothing more, nothing less.